I'm so excited here to introduce to you a friend of mine, Nathan Myers. And I think, Nathan, I met you when you were like 20, 21.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We sang together in the middle of Iowa, Des
Oh
Moines
my
Metro
God.
Opera.
Oh, Des Moines. Oh, you know how old I was in Des Moines? I was 20 because I turned 21. I turned 21 that summer.
Yep. And I think at the time I was 32. And
Wow.
we sang
You
together.
look good.
Oh, thank God.
You look good.
Thank God.
Yes.
And then we met up again. That was in like 19, that was in 2000. We sang.
Uh-huh.
And then in 2002, we met up again at Mannes Conservatory of Music in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so tell me about you, Nathan, what your occupation and what you do.
Well, my occupation is sort of like a little bit of a multifaceted type of occupation, but it all centers around music. It centers around sort of creating and participating in high quality educational and artistic experiences. I think that's kind of the biggest umbrella that I can put over it, because I tend to, in my performance experiences as an artist, I tend to wrap into that some sort of an educational component, whether it is for the other artists that are there, for myself, for the audience. Oftentimes, I will employ former students of mine to go with me on the road, or to, in the contemporary side. In the classical side, if ever there's an opportunity, like if I get an orchestra gig and they're looking for another singer, I'm constantly suggesting either former students or former colleagues of mine to participate in those things. So I'm always trying to expand. So right now, I live in a few different worlds. I live in the academic space as a professor of voice at Arizona State University. Yay! And but I also live in the artist space. I'm a sort of, I don't know what kind of music you would call it. It's sort of inspirational soul music that kind of infuses a little bit of jazz elements and a little bit of gospel elements.
Your own
Um,
invention of the genre? That's
well, we might just invent a genre or so. But yeah, but I'm signed to RSVP Records. It's a kind of an independent label, but it's headed by a very good friend of mine, and very talented Grammy Award winning producer and musician.
wow.
And so that's been an exciting journey. We've released some things through that label already, but we're right at the precipice of releasing the first album on that label, which will be my second album altogether. But yeah, so I'm doing that and choir directing, because I think that kind of fits in a little bit as an extension of my teaching. I love choir music. So I'm also, in addition to professor of voice at ASU, I'm the director of the gospel choir, and I have my own choir, own professional choir on the side as well. They're all based in Texas, and a few of them are in different places in the country. But it's sort of like this extension of some work that I started about 7 years ago. And so, oh, Liz, I didn't even tell you. I'm also the CEO of a nonprofit organization that is actually helping right now to serve students in various communities with private lessons.
Uh, that's
And so,
amazing.
yes,
Even
yes. I
sorry.
haven't I haven't really said a whole lot about it because it's, we're still just kind of working through some of the beginning stages. But essentially, I took some of the best ideas from a few of the organizations that I've personally benefited from, and created something that really is a win-win-win, because we employ, through the foundation, we employ graduate students in the arts to mentor and work with high school students who are interested in that same thing. And so, it's really great right now. We finally started last week. We launched with one of the schools in Texas, but it also, we've been working with a couple
I
of
have
schools here in
sending it.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Oh yes, 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 yes. I would love to send you some info, because I'm definitely looking to expand. So if you've got, high school students that you feel would fit the bill, so we can talk a little bit after this or whatever about it. But yeah, I would love to, because it's in honor of all of the people and the amazing educators who have supported my development through scholarships, through grants, through just supporting that kind of thing. I really wanted to be able to have something to give back. And so, yeah, that's been a very exciting sort of evolution. And so we're official 501c3 and all that stuff. So, that was a big undertaking.
That is
Uh,
amazing. All the other hats you wear.
yeah. So,
Wow.
but I have a lot of help, so I don't say that I do it alone, but, so it's just nice to be able to sort of stay in the same lane or stay on the same highway, but occupy different lanes, right? We're all doing music. We're all, sort of being activists and things like that with our art. So, yes.
That's amazing. Um, what are some challenges that you've faced throughout your musical career?
Oh wow. I will try to speak about these challenges from the affirmative, or from the positive direction, because I think the value of challenge is the amount of muscle it builds, the amount of character and integrity. So I've experienced a lot of challenges, but they have really made me very strong. So some of them would include, things that feel like racism, or they feel like marginalization. Maybe that racism is a strong word, but marginalization based on size, based on color of skin, based on whatever elements, right? But what that has really done, as we talked about before, is it's produced in me a resourcefulness that allows me not to be deterred by what someone else's limitations might be.
Yeah.
So I used to feel kind of, in a way, I felt victimized earlier on in my career. I felt victimized by those perspectives, but I don't anymore. Actually, what that's done is it's really allowed me to be creative, because I'm underneath the radar for most people.
Yeah.
So that means that I can help and I can create in whatever way I choose. And now that I have decided not to be in a box of opera, which I love opera and I love jazz and
That's always
gospel, I grew
nice.
up in it, but now that I'm not in that box, I am free to be all, I guess, be all that I can be, I suppose, or be whatever. Not to be too cliche, but I mean, so in terms of that, I think, what I found out in the earlier days, from then till now, what I found out is that the biggest challenge that I had to overcome was the way I saw myself. Because I think earlier on, because as an artist, particularly as a singer, we spend so much time letting other people tell us what rep to sing, what voice type we are, what kind of clothing we should wear, what coaches to work with, what
Or
teachers
like,
are best.
yeah.
What's the best artistic choice when you're delivering this aria or this art song.
You sing your heart out and someone says, fix your hair. Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, and I've had all of those kinds of comments, but I think the biggest hurdle that I had to get over was essentially the way that I saw myself and what I let in, and it doesn't mean that constructive criticism, because constructive criticism doesn't take into account your limitations or create limits for you. Constructive criticism says, okay, you have this big goal that you want, and here's where you are. And so I'm going to give you the type of criticism that helps you to construct the type of thing that you need to get to where you want to go. And so, I have really become a master at accepting and processing constructive criticism and throwing everything else out
yeah.
into file 13 or into the garbage. So when someone tells me something that sounds like a marginalizing comment, I let them say it and I graciously, allow them their space and the freedom to their opinion, but I don't have to let that in. And that took a while to establish that for myself.
You could continue teaching that to all of us. So that's amazing.
Yes.
It's, okay, so I have a kid question. Have you ever
Okay.
broken glass singing?
Oh, no,
You
no,
ever broken
no.
glass?
No, the only time I may have broken glass while singing is if I picked it up and slammed it on the ground or accidentally dropped it,
I
which
don't
that can happen.
know. Visual kid. So your favorite performance, something that really stands out to you?
Oh man. Well, favorite performance, and for if you're going to show this, I will say, for anybody watching, favorite doesn't mean like most perfect or lack of flaws in the performance, but There are lots of performances that I could hail to. One I would say that sticks out just right as I'm thinking about it is I remember getting less than 24 hours notice that I was going to be jumping in for a colleague in Germany when I was working at the Deutsche Oper, that I was going to have to jump in to sing Ping in Turandot. Now, this colleague was and is still 6'4". So there was no way that I could wear his costume. So all of the costumes had to be built. So this was a major thing for everybody, and I had to jump in because he was ill. But it was already something that I had been thinking about and working on, and I had just learned the opera. It took me about 3 days to, I learned the opera and memorized it in 3 days, and then I was on the schedule to just go and watch the rehearsal just in case. And then as I'm on the train platform, I get a call and say, "Herr Myers, are you sitting down?" I said, "Well, should I be?" And they said, "Yeah, you should probably sit down." And this is the morning of the rehearsal. And so they said, "Well, in fact, we have you on the schedule to watch the rehearsal, but in fact, your colleague is officially ill and will not be able to do the performance. Are you okay to do the rehearsal and the performance tomorrow night?" This was a Monday. The performance was on a
That
Tuesday.
means staging. That means
Stagings,
everything.
costumes, that means everything. That means ensemble
Opera.
music rehearsal. That's everything. And I said to them, I said, "Well, tell the director to to chill out because everything's okay. I'm ready. Here's what I need. I need to have a music rehearsal with the pang and the pong because we have so much ensemble stuff to do. I need to be able to, do the staging. I definitely will need to have some sort of costuming fitting." So
Yeah.
they squeezed all of that into one day.
Yeah. That's awesome.
We had 6 hours of staging, and so that performance was so exciting because I loved that opera. I mean, it's one of my favorite operas
It
actually,
is for me.
and and I always got questioned about that, like, why is that your favorite opera? It's not even a real big solo part for the. I said it doesn't matter. I just love the music, and so and just to give you a little bit of a context, they in the staging rehearsal, which was not on the stage, it was in a rehearsal room, was not focused on the ping pang and pong at all because it was a brand new turandot and a brand new kalaf. The turandot was Maria Gulegina,
Oh,
and the kalaf was Jose Cura.
so these are famous opera singers, and basically they're brand new in these characters, and that for us, they're kind of like the Derek Jeter.
Yes, yes, they were brand new to that production. Now they had done the roles before, but they were brand new to the production, and so they had to learn all the staging as well. And so, of course, they were the main, topic of yeah, of
Your
for
friend
for the
doesn't know too
rehearsals.
much, though. She doesn't.
But so that was an exhilarating performance because being with those colleagues, everybody was so supportive. And I remember Jose Cura saying to me, he said, uh Ping is the lead baritone of the show, and I said, "Really?" I was still really young, and
Yeah,
he's like, "Yeah, artistically, because of course Jose Cura was, he was also doing some directing and stuff as well, so he was thinking drama, from a dramatic perspective. But it was fabulous to get to sing that music. So that was one of my favorite performances.
amazing.
You know,
So, speaking of lead baritones, would you be willing to sing something for us?
oh my goodness, I hadn't really prepared to sing
Anything
anything
that
today.
you
But
I was telling the kids about the voice types and soprano, alto, tenor, bass, but Nathan is a baritone, which is kind of the best of both worlds. He has the high, but he also has the low, and so
here's what we'll do. Why don't we plan a second time, and maybe I can come into your class
ooh,
via satellite, as we used to say back in the day, right? But via
fantastic.
Zoom or something like that, and set up something, or even share something. I can send some
Oh, that'd
video
be great,
recordings that,
and
yeah, that might be
I
really
will add
fun.
it. Oh my god,
Yeah, 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 yeah. That'll be really great. Because it wouldn't just be opera, but you could have something that was classical, or you can have something that's non-classical, or maybe a mixture of both of those things.
that would be amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So Happily, happily. So of course this is not going to be our last time because we've got other things to talk about, you know. So
Exactly.
we will be in contact about other things. So yeah, okay, so cool. We got
Do
that
you
taken
have
care of.
some like fun advice for prospective performers? Things to
What age are you talking
we have
about?
young folk like kindergarten through fourth,
Oh, okay, wonderful.
and
Wonderful.
a lot of the kids do sing and are wonderful and just have a great spirit about it.
Okay, so here's the thing that I would share with you, and it gives me a real good idea of the video that I think you might enjoy. But I would say have courage, be yourself. Don't put limitations or accept limitations that others put on you. Don't put them on yourself and don't accept them from others. If you're interested in different styles of music, go after those styles and find out where you settle, because you don't have to pick and choose. You know, I mean, this is a little bit higher level of cognition, but you know, you can have a life of both, and you don't have to choose either or. I used to think really, you know, like I said earlier, that I do lots of different styles of music, and I really was under the impression that I had to pick one and be loyal to that only and leave everything else behind. But what I found is that, you know, whenever you leave things out, those are part and partial to who you are as well.
Right.
And so you can feel a little bit like you've left something important behind, you know. And so now that I'm doing all of these different things, I feel complete. So my advice to a young person would be soak it all up and have as much fun as you can have, you know, and
And,
appreciate the people who are willing to give. And what I mean by that is appreciate those people who are willing to give their time, willing to give knowledge, willing to give, you know, advice and expertise in the area that you're excited about. You know, don't spend time trying to impress people. Have fun, make friends,
yep.
but make your own decisions. And that's not something that is totally impossible at a young age. I think you
Right.
can start to think independently at a young age. So that's what I would suggest.
I wish I would have heard that at that age. Like,
Yes, don't we all? I mean, like, you know, go for it. Don't let anybody stop you, because if I had have gone for it, you know, I probably would have been, you know, a dancer.
yeah, I do. Oh, right, you love to dance, don't you? You
I love to dance. But I, you know, I was so afraid. You know, there were so many stereotypes at that time that I was trying my hardest to avoid, and clearly I couldn't.
yeah.
You know, so
Well,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
can't thank you enough. Do you have any fun fact to leave us with, or
Oh,
video game?
well, one fun fact I will say, I am really into meditation as a way of, you know, sort of centering myself and getting clear about what it is that I desire out of life and what I'm doing for the day. And one of the things that I love to do is to be out in the yard. You know, I actually have a little plan. I started planting some trees.
Oh
I've
my
got,
god!
oh, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've planted 8 trees, 9 trees, excuse me, and I've got, well, that's three of those. So there's six more. So I've got six, seven, 7 more to plant, and I dig the holes myself. You know,
That's
so
amazing.
yeah, I love being in the garden, being outside, and so, you know, find something that. Here's the thing that I would say as a closing remark:
Yeah.
find something that brings you joy and do that. Find something that brings you joy and do that. And then then at that point, you never have to be concerned about how you compare to other people. You never have to be concerned about how other people perceive you, as much as you are concerned about how you perceive yourself, and you check in with yourself. Does this feel good?
Yeah.
Am I still having a good time? Because that was something that was told to me when both of us were at Manus. And I remember a director by the name of Jay Lessinger. Do you remember him?
Chautauqua.
Yes. So
Amazing.
Jay told me, we were doing a production there, and I had a role in the show, and I was nervous. Oh my
Love the
gosh, I
one.
was so nervous. No, no, no. It was We were doing a show at Chautauqua,
Oh,
actually.
Chautauqua. Okay.
So we were doing Faust, and I was singing Valentin. And, I was really scared, but excited, that kind of nervous excitement or whatever. And he could see that on my face. And after I sang the first aria, because it's kind of like the first day of school, after I sang the first aria, he could see my expression, and my energy was just like with a bunch of question marks, question marks, question marks. Do I belong? Did I do good? Did I do a good job or whatever? And he's really tall, towering over. He says,
Yeah.
look, he said, kid, you can sing. He said, and but what you need to do, and he said, and you enjoy singing. He said, but what you need to do is that if you ever feel like you're not enjoying it, stop. And this could be a figment of my imagination that he said all of this, but I attribute this to him, because I do remember a conversation, and I do remember us,
That's a good
him
conversation.
talking to. Yeah. So, and he may or may not remember that, but I really have kept it, because there have been times that I have taken a break, and the variety of things that I love to do in the music and academic space has given me that ability to take a break here and go and do that, and then take a break over there and go and do that, and infuse it together as it makes sense.
And it makes other things stronger when you take a break and then you add a different
Yes.
layer.
Yes.
And it does sound like something Jay would say. That's just straight up.
Yes, yes. I look at him and Laura Alley as, really major, forces in my life, because of the shows that they led me through and led us through,
Yeah.
as students and growing, budding professionals. So listen, I want to say to you, Liz, thank you, thank you, thank you for inviting me. And it's been a pleasure to sort of share a couple of little tidbits about my life and about what I think and believe in and what guides me. But I want to also take a moment to celebrate you and just
Oh,
say thank you, because working with students at that age is so important, because that sort of sets the pathway for them. And a lot of times I got my first exposure and found my love for music at the elementary school level. I still remember, there was a little song called "Play Calypso Play."
ooh,
We just play,
gotta find
just
that song.
play, we just playing, all these different, instruments and everything, rhythm instruments, and it was such a fulfilling experience. And so I just want to celebrate you and honor you for giving that to students, because that's a seed that obviously someone planted in your life, someone planted it in my life, and look where it is taken us, and it continues to take us places. So thank you for that, because educators aren't as celebrated as I think we should be, just because of the work that it takes. It's deeply emotional work.
Yeah.
It's deeply emotional work.
Thank you so much. So much.
Thank